everyone, I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You, and welcome to the Loving, Healing, Creating Summit. I have with me today Kriket, a shaman from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Welcome, Kriket.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. My name is Kriket. It's not my magical name. It is a nickname I've had since childhood. That's the first thing about me you need to know. I didn't choose the name of a bug for my super spiritual amazingness. The course in and of itself is just 5 tips and tricks for practical shamanism, and we're going to run through 5 of the different aspects of shamanism. I've been studying it for almost 3 decades, and I have a leaning towards Finnish shamanism because that is my genetic ancestry, and where my family comes from is Finland. And that has been a very propelling force for learning spiritual connection, mythology, and stories. That isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about practical shamanism, and I wanted to introduce some of the tools that I will use. The very first thing that I would like to show you is my smudge. So I make all of my own smudge. It is the first thing that I would use. So as you can see, it is just a lovely form of ground up, what do I call this? Herbs and necessities. It's practical because it clears spaces, it helps to settle the mind, it helps to clear the energy off your drums, your rattles, your stones, whatever you use. I personally gather my sage from an area in the province of Alberta where I live, which is what I use as the base of my smudges. I also scour different stores that have different types of resins, different types of plant materials. So things like houndstooth, things like pine resin. I like to use lotus leaves. I like to use mugwort. All sorts of different things that I put into my own smudge. I have a book on my website called The Book of Smudge, which goes through various recipes, what zodiac signs some of them are associated with, what phase of the moon some of them are associated with, what direction they're associated with. So it does go down and list some of the various aspects of how you could create a smudge for a particular type of work that you're doing, whether it's clearing a house, clearing your instruments, clearing your own self, clearing somebody before you endeavor to do some healing work. So smudge is probably the very first tool that I use. I also only ever use wooden matches to light my smudge for the very simple reason that I think they are probably, well, I'm not supposed to use a lighter, that's what Spirit told me, so I'm just going to leave it at simplicity then. The next thing I think is part of the practical aspects is the rattle. And this one I love the sound of. It is a nice light sound. I use rattles of various sizes. I use rattles with various different sounds, depending on the type of work I do. If I'm doing very gentle work or I've done some really intense healing work on somebody, hands-on healing, or work where I bring back energy, put it back in the body, so retrieval, I'll use a lighter rattle because it's gentler on the aura, it's gentler on the ears. If you've just had some spirit work, sometimes your body needs to settle. So the rattle in various sounds. If I'm doing a house clearing, I have a very large, very loud rattle, and that seems to shake up the energy. Rattles are generally associated with water. They're the first, in my teachings, they're associated with water, they're associated with rain, they're associated with the ability to clear the body, clean the body off. So that's another aspect of the practical shamanism we're going to go over, is how to use a rattle, what to do with a rattle, various ways that you can use it, and I'll demonstrate the different sounds for 3 of the different rattles that I do have. The other aspect that I use quite a bit are stones. And these ones you can see are super, super easy little stones. So these stones are nothing super special. I know that people collect lots of different gemstones. I have my own collection of gems. I have some ethical issues with gems. I have ethical issues with the blowing up of mountains and the strip mining that is required for the gathering and the wholesale use of crystals. And I have only as many as I can use, and the rest of them I don't buy anymore because I certainly don't need any more. But stones are used for creating spaces. I use them as click stones. When I do my healing work, that'll be explained. They are place markers. I have different stones that have different types of qualities, whether they're amethyst, moonstone, sodalite, chrysocolla. They're all associated with the medicine wheel. And I'll move into that when I get into the practical shamanism. And then another part, but not the last part, that I'm going to talk about are the uses of drums, because drums in shamanism are very practical. And this is one of the drums that I have. And it is a synthetic head, not because I think that synthetic heads are necessarily the best drums, but they are exceptionally good if you are doing outside work, if it is very humid, if it's very cold. I find that the natural leather drums have a short lifespan that day. I don't mean like forever and ever, but a short lifespan for that particular use if you're outside. I do have one that will be 33 years old. Oh no, sorry, 23 years old, my mistake. And that's a pretty old drum. So I'm going to talk about the relationship with drum. I'm going to talk about the relationship between shamanism and their tools, their acumens, their paraphernalia. That is a very basic rundown of what we're going to be exploring in the course. Back to you, Miss Larissa.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to get started. So let's jump on in there and we'll meet you there.